Stop doing this in the morning. It's why seniors feel tired all day. You go to bed hoping for a fresh start, but you open your eyes and the weight is already there. It's a feeling so many of us know intimately, yet we rarely talk about it. We have this quiet understanding that mornings are supposed to be a kind of reset. After a night's rest, the slate should be wiped clean. There should be a sense of possibility, a little reservoir of energy to draw from as you begin your day. That's the promise. But for so many people, especially as the years add up, that promise feels broken. You wake up not to renewal, but to a familiar heaviness. The fatigue didn't leave with the night. It waited for you, right there on your pillow. It's more than just wanting 5 more minutes of sleep. It's a deep-seated tiredness that makes the simple act of getting out of bed feel like a monumental task. You might find yourself sitting on the edge of the mattress, already thinking about how long it is until you can rest again. The day hasn't even begun, and you feel like you're starting 10 steps behind. This can be incredibly frustrating, even discouraging. You might start to have conversations with yourself, quiet internal questions that carry a hint of worry. Is this just what it means to get older? Is my body just running out of steam? It's easy to interpret that morning fatigue as a sign, a signal that your vitality is slowly dimming. That thought alone can cast a shadow over your entire outlook. But what if we've been reading that signal all wrong? What if that heavy, tired feeling first thing in the morning isn't a verdict on your age or your health, but a clue? What if it's pointing not to a general decline, but to one specific, repeated pattern? Imagine for a moment that this isn't about your body failing you. Imagine it's about a subtle misstep, a single habit so woven into the fabric of your morning that you don't even see it as a choice anymore. A choice that, almost automatically, sets your entire system on the wrong path from the very first moment. This changes the story completely. It moves the issue from something vague and inevitable to something specific and, most importantly, adjustable. The fatigue isn't the problem itself. It's the most noticeable symptom of a small, correctable error in how we start our day. And that means the door isn't closed. It's just waiting for us to turn the handle. Before you accept that this is just how it is now, let's consider a different story. We've been taught, in 1,000 subtle ways, to expect a gradual slowing down. We're told to anticipate less energy, to make peace with a certain level of fatigue as simply part of the landscape of later life. That narrative is so common that when we feel that morning exhaustion, we often nod quietly and think, well, there it is. It's my turn. We internalize it. We start to blame our own body, viewing it as something that is, however gently, beginning to betray us. It's not working like it used to, and we assume that's a one-way street. But that assumption, as logical as it feels, might be the very thing keeping us stuck. Think of it this way. Your body is an extraordinarily intelligent communication system. It's always sending signals. A growling stomach is a signal for food. A stiff muscle is a signal it's been held too long in one position. Thirst is a signal for water. These aren't signs of failure. They are brilliant, real-time feedback. So what if this morning fatigue is also a signal? Not a signal that the machine is breaking, but a signal that it's being operated in a way that doesn't suit its design first thing in the morning. Your body isn't trying to slow you down out of some inevitable decline. It might be trying, very loudly, to get your attention about a single habit. It's reacting to something, not breaking down from nothing. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It moves the source of the problem from inside you from some inherent, unchangeable fact of your age to outside, in a pattern you follow. It's not you that's the issue, it's the routine. That's a profound difference. One leads to resignation, the other leads to curiosity. Instead of feeling like a passive recipient of weariness, you become a detective. You can observe your morning with new eyes, not with judgment, but with a calm question. What is it about how I'm starting my day that my body might be reacting to so strongly? This isn't about fighting your body. It's about finally listening to what it's been trying to say all along, and realizing the message isn't a sentence. It's an invitation to make a simple change. To understand the quiet habit we need to identify, we first need to appreciate the unique state your body is in when you first wake. Think of it not as flipping a switch from off to on, but as a very gradual, gentle sunrise happening inside you. Throughout the night, your systems have been in a deep state of repair and restoration. Your heart rate slowed, your breathing became even, your brain processed the day. As dawn approaches and you begin to stir, this internal world doesn't just jolt awake. It eases its way back to daytime operations. Hormones like cortisol begin to rise naturally, not as a stress alarm, but as a soft, internal nudge to start the day. Your blood pressure begins a gentle climb from its nightly low. Your brain waves shift slowly from the patterns of deep sleep. This entire process is delicate, and it sets the foundation for everything that follows. This is why the first 30 minutes after waking are such a critical window. Think of your nervous system in those first moments as a quiet, still pond at dawn. The surface is smooth and calm. What you do first creates the first ripples in that pond. A gentle, peaceful ripple will spread outward smoothly, maintaining a sense of calm. But a large, sudden splash, a jolt of stress, a burst of frantic information, a rush of urgency creates choppy, disruptive waves that disturb the entire surface. And those ripples will travel across the water, affecting it for a long time. It's the same for your body. The initial input you give your system doesn't just affect that moment. It creates a hormonal and neurological ripple effect that echoes for hours, influencing your energy, your focus, and even your mood. This isn't about willpower or being strong enough to push through fatigue. It's about timing. It's about understanding that during this delicate transition period, your body is exceptionally receptive, for better or worse, to the tone you set. Most of us, with the best intentions, don't treat this window as delicate. We treat it as a launch pad. The moment our eyes open, we feel the pressure of the day waiting. We reach for the phone to check the news, which is often a stream of problems we can't solve. We scroll through emails, inviting work worries into bed with us. We might jump into a heated discussion or immediately start mentally cataloging all the tasks ahead. Each of these acts, while feeling productive, is that large splash in the quiet pond. It tells your still waking system that it's time for high alert, for defense, for stress, right now. And the body, being a faithful servant, obeys. It accelerates its waking process into overdrive, flooding you with chemicals meant for a crisis. It's like being startled awake by a loud alarm every single morning. You might get moving faster, but the cost is a system that's already exhausted from the shock long before lunchtime arrives. So, what is this common splash that disrupts our quiet morning pond? It often comes disguised as productivity, or even as a helpful routine. It's the habit of immediately flooding our barely awake system with a wave of input it simply isn't ready to process. For many of us, it looks like reaching for the smartphone the second we're conscious. We check the news, which is a curated stream of global and local crises. We scan our emails, inviting the day's demands and other people's priorities directly into our mind before we've even had a chance to form our own. For others, it might be turning on the television to a loud, fast-paced talk show, or launching straight into a strenuous mental task like paying bills or planning a complicated day. Even a very large, sugary breakfast can act as a similar shock, forcing the digestive system and blood sugar into a sudden, intense workload. What if the very thing you do to get going is actually short-circuiting your energy for the rest of the day? This is the crucial insight. None of these actions are inherently bad. Reading the news is informed. Checking email is responsible. Eating breakfast is healthy. The problem isn't the what, but the when and the how. It's the immediacy and the intensity of it, delivered to a system in a state of delicate transition. Your brain, which was just in a state of restful theta or delta waves, is suddenly bombarded with complex information, problems, and stimuli that require high-level beta wave activity. Your nervous system, expecting a gentle ramp-up, gets a shot of adrenaline. It feels productive to our conscious mind, but to your body, it sounds like an alarm bell when it was expecting a gentle chime. This creates an internal conflict. Your body's natural, gentle wake-up process is hijacked. It must abandon its plan, calm sunrise, and instead execute an emergency launch. It pours out stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to meet this perceived demand. This does create a feeling of alertness, a kind of wired, jittery energy. You feel awake, even sharp, for a little while. But this is borrowed energy, taken from your deeper reserves. It's not sustainable. Your body has to work overtime to produce it, and by mid-morning, you experience the inevitable crash. The fatigue that follows isn't just from being awake. It's the exhaustion from an emergency response you triggered before you even got out of bed. You started the day by asking your body to sprint, and then you wonder why it's out of breath by 10 o'clock. The habit isn't a moral failure. It's a simple mismatch of timing, a case of giving the right fuel at the very wrong moment. Now, this is the part that makes the habit so sticky, so hard to question. It feels like it works, and in a very narrow, short-term sense, it does. That's why we keep doing it. When you shock your system with that morning flood of information or urgency, your body responds exactly as it's designed to. It sends help. A surge of cortisol and adrenaline hits your bloodstream. Your heart rate increases slightly, your focus narrows, and you get a tangible feeling of being alert, of being on. It cuts through the morning fog. You might feel a little rush, a sense of being connected or productive the moment your eyes open. If you check your phone, there's often a little hit of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical from seeing a new message or a piece of interesting information. This cocktail of neurochemicals creates a convincing illusion. It tells you, this is how I wake up. This is what gets gets me going. The tricky part is it works for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. It's a short, powerful burst. You've essentially pressed your body's panic button, and it has dutifully provided you with emergency energy to deal with what it assumes is a crisis. But here's the truth about that kind of energy. It's not created from a fresh, abundant source. It's borrowed. It's pulled from your body's deeper reserves, the energy it was planning to carefully meter out for the next 12 hours. Think of it this way: your body is giving you a loan of energy you didn't really have, and it charges high interest in the afternoon. This is why the crash feels so pronounced. Around mid-morning, you don't just gradually get a little tired. You often hit a wall. That wired feeling evaporates, leaving behind a deeper, more stubborn fatigue than you started with. You've spent your energetic capital all at once. Your body now needs to repay that loan, and it does so by slowing you down, by making you crave quiet or sugar, by clouding your thinking. The initial lift wasn't free energy, it was an advance, and the repayment terms are steep. Understanding this cycle is liberating. It means that craving for the morning phone check or that rush into activity isn't a sign of a good habit. It's simply a sign of being hooked on the upfront payment, while ignoring the much larger bill waiting for you just a little later. You're not weak for liking the initial feeling, you're human. But now you can see the full transaction, not just the enticing first line of the receipt. Now that we understand the cycle, we can break it. And we break it not by adding more willpower or another complicated routine, but by doing something beautifully simple. We protect that first, delicate window. We stop flooding the pond and instead, we let it settle. This begins with a conscious choice in the very first minutes after you open your eyes. Before you do anything else, before you even think about the day, you create a small space of peace. This is your gentle reset. The instruction is straightforward, but its effect is profound. When you wake, don't reach for your phone. Don't jump out of bed. Don't start running through your mental to-do list. Just pause. Stay right where you are for a few moments. You might take one deep, slow breath in through your nose, feeling your lungs expand, and then let it out gently through your mouth. That's all. You could simply notice the light in the room. Is it soft and gray, or bright and golden? Just observe it without judgment. If you can, turn your head and look out a window at the sky. Let your eyes rest on something distant and calm. You might gently stretch your arms overhead, or point and flex your feet, feeling the pleasant pull in your muscles after a night of stillness. The specific action matters less than the intention behind it. Instead of reaching for the world, try reaching for this feeling first, a feeling of calm presence. The goal here is connection, not connection to the internet or your responsibilities, but a quiet reconnection to your own body and the new day on your own terms. This isn't adding a task to your morning, it's creating a buffer, a peaceful entryway between the world of sleep and the demands of the day. It's claiming those first 5 minutes for yourself, not for the news, not for other people's agendas, but for your own nervous system. You are giving your body the gentle sunrise it was designed to have. You are allowing the cortisol to rise naturally, for your heart rate to find its daytime rhythm without being startled. This small, private act is a profound form of self-care. It returns a sense of agency to you. You are no longer reacting, you are initiating. You are setting the tone, rather than having it set for you by the first stressful headline or demanding email. It's a tiny revolution that begins in the quiet of your own bed. Once you've taken those first 5 minutes to settle, once you've given your internal pond a chance to become still, the next step is to move through the rest of your first hour with intention. You've lit a calm, steady fire within yourself. Now, let's talk about how to feed that fire slowly, with care, so it grows and sustains you, rather than throwing on a log so big it smothers the flames. This is about nourishing the gentle spark you've just protected, not dousing it with the old habits. Think of this first hour as a time of curation. You are thoughtfully choosing the information and the fuel that enters your system. Let's start with the most basic fuel, hydration. After a night's sleep, your body is mildly dehydrated. Before coffee or tea, consider a glass of plain, room-temperature water. It's a simple, neutral signal to your digestive system that the day is beginning, helping to gently awaken your metabolism without a shock. It's like giving a plant a gentle watering at its roots. When it comes to your first meal, the principle is the same, gentle and sustaining. If you eat breakfast, think of foods that provide a slow, steady release of energy. Instead of a sugary cereal or pastry that causes a rapid spike and crash, consider something with a balance of protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. A bowl of oatmeal with some nuts, a piece of whole grain toast with avocado or peanut butter, or some yogurt. The goal isn't a rigid diet. It's choosing something that won't force your body into another emergency processing mode right after it just found its calm. And what about information? This is where you have tremendous power. After your buffer period, if you do choose to check the news or your email, do so with a different mindset. You are no longer a passive recipient, grabbing whatever is thrown at you. You are an active curator. You might decide to wait until after you've moved around a bit, had your water, and dressed. When you do look, you can set a limit. Perhaps you glance at the headlines without diving into comment sections or alarming stories. You might scan your email subject lines to see if anything is truly urgent, but you don't start crafting complex replies yet. You are simply gathering information from a place of calm control, not reacting from a state of startled alertness. This entire hour becomes a purposeful, gentle ritual. It transforms the morning from a reactive scramble into a sequence of thoughtful choices that honor your need for a peaceful and energized start. It appeals to your innate wisdom and your desire for a sense of order, putting you firmly in the director's chair of your own day. As you begin this new rhythm, it's important to speak to a very real experience, the pull of the old habit. There will be mornings, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, where you'll wake up and, almost without thinking, your hand will reach for your phone. Or you'll find yourself lying in bed, mentally racing through your worries before you've even taken a breath. This is not a sign of failure. It is the absolute, guaranteed sign that you are a human being changing a long-standing pattern. The neural pathway of the old habit is well-worn, like a deep groove. Your brain will naturally slide into it, especially when you're sleepy. So, let's be clear, you will forget, and that's perfectly okay. What matters isn't the slip, it's what happens next. The old way involves criticism. I failed. I have no willpower. This just doesn't work for me. That kind of thinking only creates stress, which sends you right back to the cycle you're trying to break. The new way is observation and gentle redirection. Here's what to do when you notice you've picked up the phone on autopilot, or your mind has started to race. First, just notice. Without any anger or disappointment, say to yourself, there's the old pattern. Acknowledge it like you notice an old, familiar song playing in another room. Then, gently put the phone down. Close your eyes for a moment. Take that one deep breath you meant to take when you first woke up. You have just hit the pause button. You haven't ruined the day. You've simply noticed you were on the old path. This is the core skill, noticing which path you're on and kindly guiding yourself back. This isn't about achieving a perfect streak of mornings without a single old thought. That's an unrealistic goal that sets you up for frustration. It's about building awareness. Every time you notice and gently redirect, you are doing the most important work. You are carving a new, shallow groove alongside the old, deep one. With time and repetition and a lot of compassion, this new path of pause and peace will become the easier, more natural choice. The goal is progress, not perfection. It's the quiet, patient practice of returning to yourself over and over again, without judgment. That is how sustainable change is built. As you practice protecting your morning window, you'll begin to notice a shift in the quality of your days. It won't feel like a sudden, dramatic transformation. It will be subtler, more like the gradual changing of a season. The energy that emerges from a gentle start is fundamentally different from the jagged, emergency energy of the old way. Think of the old energy like a geyser. It erupts with tremendous, explosive force, shooting high into the air, but it's sporadic and eventually subsides, leaving a period of quiet inactivity until the next build-up. That's the cycle of the crash and burn morning. The new energy is more like a steady, clear stream. It doesn't shout. It whispers, and it lasts. It has a consistent flow you can rely on. You might not feel a powerful burst of motivation at 8 a.m. That's okay. In fact, that's a sign you're not forcing your system into overdrive. Instead, what you'll likely notice is the absence of something, that heavy, familiar drag in the late morning. The overwhelming desire to sit down and close your eyes around 10 or 11 o'clock may simply begin to fade. Your focus will feel less scattered, more available. Tasks that felt like burdens might feel more manageable, not because you have superhuman energy, but because you're not already depleted from your own internal emergency drill. You'll find you have a deeper patience, a little more resilience when small frustrations arise, because your nervous system isn't already operating at its frayed edge. Success here isn't measured by a huge spike on a graph. It's measured in quiet, positive absences. The absence of the mid-morning crash. The absence of that irritable, wired feeling by mid-afternoon. The absence of starting your day feeling already defeated. In their place, you cultivate a sense of evenness. Your energy becomes something you can draw from steadily throughout the day, rather than something that controls you with its unpredictable surges and collapses. This reliable, gentle energy is what allows you to engage with your day from a place of choice, not from a place of sheer reaction. It's the difference between riding a calm river in a canoe, able to steer and look around, versus being tossed about in the churning wake of a speedboat you started yourself. This new rhythm is sustainable. It's designed not to impress anyone in the first hour, but to support you faithfully for all the hours that follow. This small change in the morning doesn't stay in the morning. Like that first, gentle ripple in the pond, it travels outward, quietly rearranging the rest of your hours in ways you might not have anticipated. When you begin your day from a foundation of calm rather than crisis, it changes the lens through which you see everything that comes after. It's less about adding a burst of new energy and more about finally removing the obstacle that was constantly, silently draining it. That obstacle was the low-grade stress state you triggered before you even got out of bed. Think about the downstream effects. When you're not already fatigued and jittery by mid-morning, your decision-making improves. You're less likely to make impulsive choices, whether it's about what to eat for lunch or how to respond to a frustrating situation. You have access to a clearer head. Your patience naturally deepens. The minor annoyances, the long line at the store, the misplaced keys, the traffic don't seem to hook you as easily. They become events to navigate rather than personal affronts that ruin your mood. This isn't magic. It's simply what happens when your nervous system isn't already saturated with stress hormones. You have a buffer, a little space between a stimulus and your reaction, and in that space lies a sense of control. This ripple extends to your overall mood and sense of personal peace. There's a quiet confidence that grows from starting your day on your own terms. You've done something nurturing for yourself before the world could make its demands. That act plants a seed of self-respect that flowers throughout the day. You may find you enjoy simple moments more, a cup of tea, a conversation, the sunlight through the window, because you are truly present for them, not mentally exhausted and already checking out. The morning becomes what's known as a keystone habit, a single, small shift that inadvertently makes other good habits easier and makes the whole structure of your day more stable. It's not just about fighting fatigue. It's about cultivating the conditions for a more peaceful, engaged, and independent daily life, where your energy is a companion on your adventures, not a limitation holding you back. So, let's look back at where we began with that feeling of waking up tired, the weight already waiting for you. We can now see it in a completely new light. That fatigue was never your enemy. It wasn't a sign that you were failing at aging or that your best days were behind you. It was a messenger, a trusted, persistent messenger from your own body, trying to deliver a crucial piece of feedback. It was saying, as clearly as it could, the way we are starting our day is not working for us. It is costing us too much. For a long time, the message might have been misinterpreted. We thought the signal meant the machine was broken, when in truth, it was an alert about the fuel we were using or the way we were pressing the start button. You weren't failing at mornings. You just didn't have the right blueprint. You were operating from an old manual, one that assumed the best way to start was with a jolt, with immediate immersion in the world's noise. That blueprint is incredibly common, which is why so many of us shared the same frustrating experience. But now you have a new one. You have a map that honors the natural, gentle intelligence of your body. You understand the importance of that quiet transition, of protecting the first ripples in the pond. This knowledge is a form of power, a gentle, respectful power that comes from alignment rather than force. This entire journey, from that first feeling of fatigue to this moment of understanding, is really a story of listening. It's about finally deciphering a signal that was meant for your well-being all along. You sought a solution, and in doing so, you honored your body's wisdom. You've moved from seeing your energy as a dwindling resource you have no control over, to understanding it as a flow you can influence with kindness and smart timing. You haven't just changed a habit, you've begun a new, more respectful conversation with yourself. So move forward with quiet confidence. Carry this new blueprint with you. Your body was right all along, and now, you finally understand what it was trying to say. That understanding is the most solid foundation for the days and years ahead, days you can meet not with weariness, but with a calm, sustained sense of your own capability.